My 365 Podcasts with me, Pete Cohen. Hi, it's Pete Cohen here, and welcome to the podcast. Excited, as I always am, but this is a special time of the month because it's not about me giving content to people. It's more about finding out about other people's success. And, you know, we love what we do, and every month we have a member of the month, and our member of the month, I'm going to reveal who she is in 1 second. But before we get stuck into the show, this episode is brought to you by My365 Elite. Check it out, mi365.me/elite. That's mi365.me/elite, and find out how you can take advantage of 7 days of free coaching for £1. £1 of 7 days of coaching, and see what can happen in just 7 days. So our member of the month for February is the amazing Michelle Buchan, and that's probably the first time I've ever got her name correctly. I've called her so many names under the sun, only because I've mispronounced her name. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me this morning. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm amazing.
Are you more delighted that you are our member of the month, or that I finally got your name correct?
No, I'm actually more delighted to be member of the month. I knew you were going to get the name right eventually, Pete. You know, yes. We're going to go to work on you and you'd get it right eventually. So well done, you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So tell us, when we told you that you were member of the month, just describe to me how you felt.
Well, initially, I thought, did he just say that? Did he ask me to be member of the month? So, you know, on reflection, absolutely overjoyed to be in such illustrious company, because some of the, all of the members of the month have been just outstanding individuals. So to be in that company is just amazing. But initially I was shocked. I couldn't believe you were calling for that.
Well, you know, we watch what people are doing, and you have really applied yourself to your own personal development, and it's great. You know, we look at everyone, as you know, we're on this journey. We're all in the story making business, and unless we go and really look at the story that we have created so far and the story that we want to create, if we don't look at that, then we can be in trouble in terms of not being happy and maybe not fulfilling the potential that we know that we have deep inside ourselves. So I suppose it would be great to start off. Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and then obviously tell us a little bit about what you've achieved.
So I'm Michelle Buchan. Well done, Pete. I'm married to Ian. I'm from Glasgow in the west of Scotland, and I live now in London. So I live on the Isle of Dogs, and I run a business with Ian, my husband, and it's a procurement consultancy. We also support organisations on their sales strategy. And I also have a side business, my coffee business.
Fantastic. So, sorry, go on. Yeah, tell us a little bit about. Tell us first of all, how did you come across My365?
I knew you from a meeting I'd met you at it was Manchester or Bolton, I think it was.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, it was up there. So a while ago, and then I saw you on Periscope. So Tales of a Life Coach, and I'd been aware of you, so I was watching that on a daily basis. And I knew that you were doing My365 because at that point you were doing daily free broadcasts, so I tuned in to watch that every day. And then you launched Elite, and I was aware of it but just hadn't engaged with it. And then I changed jobs, if you like, came to work at home, and I knew, because you said there's a gap between where you are now and where you want to be. In order to fill that gap as quickly as possible, you need a coach. And I decided to go to work on myself. And that's why I joined Elite. So last January, I joined Elite, and I thought, I'm making an investment in myself, a financial investment. Not a lot of money at all. You know, you waste more on, I don't know, just magazines, I think. But I decided that if I was making that investment, whatever it was, I was going to go to work for myself and just do what you told me to do, actually, do the work.
You know, it's amazing because when we get to showcase people like you, it's very empowering for me. It's actually quite humbling because it's not really about me, right? This is what you have done. You have put the work in. You have dedicated yourself to just getting better. So there's a few questions I want to ask you around that. And I suppose the other thing which is amazing is that I know people will listen to your story and people will be inspired. And that's what we want to do. We want to inspire the world and other people to realize, wow, if she did that, maybe I could do that, you know, because I think deep down inside, we all want to get better. There's something inside us. So that's enough for me. Tell us a little bit about what you've achieved personally.
Well, it's interesting that you ask that question because at the beginning of this year, we were reviewing the best year yet. But I'd done it last year when I first started. And when I was looking at what I set as goals to achieve in the year, I looked at that and I thought, I haven't done that. I haven't done that. I haven't done that. But when I reflected more deeply on it, I realized that I'd just come so far in terms of who I am as a person and how I approach things, in particular around emotions. So you know, one of the real big light bulb moments for me was the habits meditation. That was my favourite masterclass. I loved it because it was Gemma's first music that she created for the meditation, and I really loved that masterclass. So going to work on yourself, changing your habits, and it's interesting. You hear things, you hear it the first time, you hear it the 10th time, you hear it the 20th time, and then eventually it just sinks in that you've changed your habits. Because lots of the things that I've achieved this year, or last year, in terms of not hitting numbers that I'd set for myself, I've achieved where I believe I'm in more control, certainly not complete control, but more control of my emotions.
Yes.
So you always talked about that gap between the stimulus and the response. And I thought, you know, really? A gap? But the more you meditate, the more you take control of your day and create your day, as I've done through my 365, you realise there is a gap. And you become aware of that gap, and then how you respond. Although your emotions come and go, but how you respond to whatever emotion it is a choice. It's absolutely a choice. And I realised that, you know, that's just huge for me, because all of the dialogue going on in my head before, when I first started at my 365, like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I don't even know why I started this, just not, it's rubbish.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because the first thing that came to my head is about the fact that the achievement isn't really tangible in one way, like here's this pen, and I can see it. I've got another pen, I've got a whole load of pens, I've accumulated pens. But what you have accumulated is beyond words, and I'd like to explore that a little bit more with you, and the fact that now you are able to have more choice over how you feel. So, which is a lot to do with mental health. I would that's one way of putting it. So describe to me the relationship that you used to have with yourself. I mean, you were kind of alluding to that a little bit, but just tell us a little bit more. And this is the stuff people often just don't talk about. They don't want to talk about how we really are with ourselves. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I would say that there was a constant dialogue there, that duck in my head telling me a story. And it was just a habit, really. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. My background is sales. So that dialogue wasn't based on reality. Successful as a salesperson, I was, doing what I had to do, but still the dialogue is there. And, in sales, you're only as good as your next sale. But still, you've got to recognise your achievements, and what you've achieved. But it was just about getting on to the next thing and the next thing. And well, it's never going to work out, and this is too hard, and I'm not good enough, and just that constant dialogue. And it is a mental health issue. I don't think people talk about it enough.
Yeah.
And the reason is I was in very good company, surrounded by my peers who were all probably in the same position. But did we talk about it? No, absolutely not. But it manifested itself in other ways, with, some really bad habits in there, just as crutches for people to get over that I'm not good enough dialogue. Just a bad habit, really.
Yeah, and I think it's something which everyone has, but a lot of people don't really talk about. And we talked before we came on air here about the void that exists within all human beings. It would be good to touch upon that. But describe to me the relationship now that you have with yourself. So
one of the big, another light bulb moment last year was when you discussed the obstacle is the way. And I used to think it was like an obstacle, like a physical thing that you had to get through. But what I realised when you become more aware is that obstacle for me was a feeling inside. Someone would say something to me and I could feel myself reacting to it. And I thought, that is the obstacle. Become aware of it and then decide how you're going to react. Now, it's in nanoseconds, but it's just the awareness that you have of it.
Yeah.
That then you've got a choice about how you decide to move on, and constantly reacting and being, just acting on emotions and impulses, and just was just not productive, was not getting me where I wanted to be. The other thing I think where I made a mistake, and I've always done this, is I based my success purely on numbers. And that's just, you never be successful if it's based on a number, because you never hit that number. But if you can base it on you as an individual growing, your success, as you growing into become a leader that you want to become a better wife and a better relative, a better support to family and friends, if you base it on that, then, your success is just, you can't measure it. You simply can't measure it.
It's so interesting to hear you having gone through this journey. And what would you say to people about personal development? Do you think it's something that people should do?
I think everyone should do it. I think, everyone I know has to do it, should do it. If you're trying to get somewhere, don't look outside of yourself about how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Look inside yourself and say, how am I going to make that happen? And the person you are right today is not the person who you're going to be in order to have any success that you want in your relationships, in work, in your health. That relationship with yourself is going to have to change.
Well, I love the way you talk, because you're talking from experience, from something that you've been through. And I think that I relate, and I'm sure many people relate to the relationship you had with yourself, which is, I'm not good enough. I'm not being the person I can be, and everything that you're doing just is never enough. And it's almost like the more you were doing, it's still never enough. And then you feel that you've still got to do more. And it's like a big hiding, isn't it? A big hiding to nothing that really ends up with a lot of misery. And we can understand why a lot of people kind of must get exhausted or break down. So it's really a massive transformation that you've made. So the relationship you now have with yourself, again, just give me a little bit more on that. When you look in the mirror, what do you see now compared to what you saw before?
So I used to say when people ask me, do you run? I have friends who run, and a very good friend who's a great runner. Do you run? Well, I'll do a bit of running, but I don't run outside. I can't run outside. And, runners would look at me and say, well, you can't run it. What do you mean you can't run outside? It's so, that story you tell yourself from something as simple as, I can't run outside, to I can't achieve that one big goal. All of these stories we're creating for ourselves are absolutely, they're shaping every single moment in our day. And it's about telling yourself a different story. Halfway through the year last year, you did an exercise about saying, I am amazing. And I thought, I don't think so. But then the really important thing, and we mustn't miss this out about My 365, is the community. Throughout that day, people were coming on and saying, this is why I'm amazing. And they just completely changed my perspective on it. And I thought, yes, we are amazing, because I was having a really tough day that day, really, really tough, but I was just getting on with it, because you just do. And then someone else had been on, I think it was Mark, who was going through his, a wave of grief, and he said, but I'm still doing it, and that's why I'm amazing. And I thought, that's it. That is it. Despite all the difficulties we all have every single day, it's just about showing up in your life and doing the best you can. So the conversation I have with myself is a completely different one. And do I think I'm amazing? Yes, I do, actually, because I turn up every single day.
Yeah.
I create the day. I have my miracle morning. I bookend it with the broadcast. So the broadcast is probably about the last thing I'll do before then I launch myself into whatever my day is bringing. But it helps me create that day and change my thinking, change the dialogue in my head.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't helping me.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've realized even more since doing this work and getting this amazing feedback, for years when you coach people, you don't always get the quality of feedback that you get to see, okay, what's really going on here? What's really happening? And what it seems like is people like you are really stepping in. They face themselves. They face the story that they've been telling themselves, and they've decided, hang on, that doesn't serve me. They've been bold enough to go, okay, this is the direction that I want to move in. And that's what, let's talk about that. Where is Michelle Buchan? Where is she going? What does the future look like for you?
Well, the future definitely, today is great. I mean, I'm so grateful for what I have. I have a wonderful life. I'm really happy. But the future is just always going to be better. Fundamentally, that's what I believe. Working towards being a leader in my relationship, my family, my businesses, and working on being a leader I have to be in order to lead people to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
Believe in people. I look at people differently now, because everyone I have a conversation with, I think, you're really amazing. You just want to help them bring out the best in themselves.
So that's beautiful, right? Because not only have you made these changes now, but you want to listen and learn, but from others, but you also want to give. You also want to give what you have created, and I think that's such an important part of it's the hero's journey, right? You go on this journey, and it's been challenging, but you're still here, and we're still here, and we're probably going to go on another journey. But we want to give to others what we have learned along the way. And it is crazy, right? Because we live in a world where everyone wants everything right now, but to get the rewards from investing in yourself, that takes a little bit of time, right? It doesn't seem to just happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. And, that's the problem. People want instant results. They don't want it to be hard. They want to take a pill and for it all to be better, but actually they don't work. You've got to go, whether it's your health you're talking about, whether it's business, whether it's your relationships, you have to go to work on them. Stop looking outside for an excuse. Absolutely accept that fundamentally you can fix it. Everything that you want is inside yourself, and go to work on yourself.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about the void, because this is something we've been talking about recently, that this void that seems to exist in all human. I mean, I don't think I've seen every human being, apart from children, but even within children, when they get to like 2 or 3 or 4, you start to realize, okay, a void is going to form here, whether you like it or not. It's that to just describe, why do you think people have that kind of void of, there's something wrong with me, I'm not quite right, I'm not who I could be, I'm not as good as them.
Yeah, I know. Comparison is the thief of joy. Never compare yourself to anyone, because you're comparing your worst with their best. That's always the case. And social media can be, a bit of a nightmare for that, where you're looking at pictures where everyone looks perfect and you're standing there and, you know, you're not looking your best. So comparison, never ever do it. But
yes,
it's the conversations, Pete. When you are aware, when you become aware, you hear the conversations all around yourself where people are just talking to themselves in just a way that's just not taking them forward. You know, the questions they're asking themselves, the things that they say to themselves, it's just stuff they hear from everywhere around them. It's just, sometimes it seems like they're just saying it because they don't know what to say, so they just say anything, and it's like if you had a better conversation with yourself, your whole life would be better. And I think that's why that boy, because you never feel good enough, but that good enough is not based on, it's based on somebody else's best, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love what you said there about comparison is the what did you say, of joy?
It's the thief of joy.
I think we should all write that down. I'm going to write that down right now.
Yourself.
So comparison is the thief of joy. There you go, written down. I'll quote Michelle Buchan for 3 times, and then I will own that. I'm only joking. It's interesting that you say that about, you know, social comparison and that's obviously what social media has a lot to do with. You know, I'm a big fan of Instagram, but for me, Instagram is I don't really look at what other people are doing because I've got to be careful, right? Because if you're not careful, you'll just spend your whole time looking at what everyone else is doing rather than focusing on what is really, really important. But the reason I like Instagram is it's like a photo album. I don't have the best of memory, so I forget sometimes even what I did yesterday. But it's a way of just looking, okay, that's what I was doing yesterday. That's what I was talking about yesterday. But yeah, it's a dangerous, dangerous game. So let me ask you a few more questions. Tell me a little bit about the community of, I know you touched on this a little bit, the My365 community. How would you describe that?
So in a book that I know that you're a big fan of, Think and Grow Rich, it talks about the community. Surround yourself with like-minded people. You know, if you are the smartest person in the room, get out of that room and, you know, make yourself feel uncomfortable every day. But the community of My365 is a community of like-minded individuals. It's closed. It's My365 elite members, where they're there to support everything that you're doing. You can have a really tough day and go on there and just say, I'm showing up. This is how it is today in my life. And the support you'll get, you know, they'll help you change your perspective, or they'll empathize with you. People really being their authentic self in a safe environment. And what I do remember when I first joined My365 Elite in that group, and, you know, sharing on that group where you were getting the support, come out of that group into Facebook normal or social media normal, and it's quite nasty out there. You know, it's really judgmental. People, you know, just not being their authentic selves, putting forward someone that you know is not them, and so it's a bit scary out there, but within the community of My365, it is an amazing environment. And the other thing is, we're asked weekly to review. It's not for likes or shares or anything like that. It's really so that you can record your progress. And I know the daily broadcasts are invaluable. I mean, they're absolutely brilliant. But I always take the time to watch other people's reviews, because someone will say something that I've either missed you saying, or they have a completely different perspective on it, which really resonates with me. And I think, wow, I missed that.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So not just from the daily broadcast are you learning, but within the community, you will learn from everyone and be inspired by them. There's just some amazing, everyone's amazing actually in there. Amazing.
Well, we do have a lot of Scottish members, which is brilliant, which is awesome, because not only was the best book ever written, Think and Grow Rich, the idea of Andrew Carnegie, who was Scottish, but we're also coming up to Scotland for a meetup in July, which we're so excited about.
Very excited about that.
I think which you're going to come up to Glasgow for, especially, right? Which is,
I'm not going to miss that.
no, it's going to be awesome. So I think lastly, you said a word there, and it's about the word authentic. And I was never a big fan of words because I couldn't understand what most words read because I was so dyslexic. But as I've gotten older, I love words and think, okay, where's that word come from? Who invented that word? And that word authentic, in its origin, comes from the word author. That, every day when you're being your authentic self, it's because you are writing every day a story that you want to read and go, that's my story. That's me. That's what I did. And I think that that's something that you take huge amounts of pride in how you are creating every single day. Is that how you see that?
Absolutely. I would say the other thing about when I first started My 365, I would say I didn't really know who I was. You create personas over who you're expected to be in whatever situation. So was I being my authentic self? No, I probably didn't know who that person was. But part of what we do is the daily journaling, which I love. I used to do it in black ink until Kate Kuro said to me, I showed her my journal one day. She said, there's no colour on there. And I thought, oh, but actually when you put colour in it, it really brings it to life.
Yes.
And just going to work on yourself, you find out who you are. And that's just be who you are. And then,
and it's not like
that's just be who you are.
It's not like becoming someone else. It's just kind of getting rid of all of the facade that we create and, the personas, rather than just getting in contact with who we are and doing simple things every single day to bring the best you into the world. So finally, what would you like to say to anyone that's kind of watching this in terms of, or listening to this in terms of getting involved with My 365?
If you're thinking, what is this? And should I get involved? Just try it. Just try it. And it's like I say to lots of people in my business, actually, if you're engaging with something and not getting anything out of it, if you're honestly engaging with My 365 and saying, I don't get anything out of that, I think you should ask yourself why. Just ask yourself that question. Just spend some time with yourself and think, why am I not getting anything out of that? Yeah. Because I know lots of people who are. So start to go to work on yourself, but try it. Just invest in yourself. You're absolutely worth it. And we'd love to have you as part of the community.
Yes, we most definitely would. For me, as many people have heard me say, I want this to be about people like you who can look in the mirror and say, look what I did. Look what I did. Okay, you supported me, but I was the one. So you can own it and it's yours. And I really appreciate you and your time and your investment, because you do make a big difference to your life and to many others. And I know there's a lot of people who will really enjoy listening to this podcast. What's been your, and I'm saying you, I mean people that are listening to this, what's your biggest takeaway from what Michelle has shared with us? For me, I love that comparison. It's the thief of joy. It's almost like you will never be joyful if you're comparing yourself to others. You'll always come up short. That was the biggest learning for me, and I appreciate you for that. So, Michelle, thank you so much for being our member of the month for February. We were so excited to get this information out there to people. And to those of you that are listening, please make a comment. If you're listening to this on iTunes, make a comment on there. We're still in the top 10 of the most popular podcasts in news and noteworthy podcasts. If you're watching this on our website, again, make a comment, share. We appreciate every single one of you. Today's broadcast has been brought to you, surprise, surprise, by My365 Elite. Go and check it out, mi365.me/elite. And we will see you next time for another My365 podcast. Take care and goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you want more free inspiration to optimize your life so you can achieve your goals in all the different areas of your life, then visit mi365.me. That's mi365.me and sign up to 365 days of free coaching with me, Pete Cohen. Thanks for listening and have an awesome day.